to the channel. I wanted to talk about the San Antonio Spurs Dynasty and the success that this franchise achieved. In my opinion, it's criminally underrated what this franchise did. They won 5 championships in 3 different decades. They won a championship in 1999, 2003, 2005, 2007, and in 2014. The San Antonio Spurs were always title contenders. You never can count them out. The San Antonio Spurs went 18 seasons of winning 50 plus games, and it's definitely heavily contributed by having the greatest power forward in NBA history to play for their franchise, which is Tim Duncan. The big fundamentals, Old Man River Rock. Always thought that was an interesting nickname. But yeah, Timmy D was a truly great basketball player. To me, he really is the best power forward of all time. Greg Popovich always said that he was really the cornerstone of the Spurs franchise, and that it was mostly Duncan who helped created that culture by allowing Pop to coach him really hard nosed, be able to criticize him, and Timmy Duncan never complained. He was always a chill, laid back, reserved guy, and he did it all on both ends of the court. As we see, Tim Duncan made 15 All NBA teams, 15 All Defensive teams, pretty much every single season he played. 5 NBA championships. He was a part of all 5 of the championships of the San Antonio Spurs, and he won 3 Finals MVPs, 2 NBA MVP awards, and he has 15 All-Star appearances. And of course, he's one of the 75 greatest players of all time. Tim Duncan, and like what Pop said, he helped create that Spurs culture where he was more focused on the team. He did anything to help the team win basketball games, even if it was him taking a step back in his role, because later on throughout his career, even later in those later final appearances against the Heat in 2013 and 2014, he really wasn't the main guy, but he was still that centerpiece that the team truly needed. Of course, he didn't win every single Finals MVP award, but Tim Duncan again was so great that he could have. But again, he had a good roster, and he knew he had to take a step back to let the other players shine, because he knew basketball is truly a team game. You can even look at the 2013 Finals. Danny Green would have won Finals MVP if the Spurs were to go on and win that the 2013 NBA Finals against the Heat. I always say the Miami Heat better be so thankful to Ray Allen every time they see him, because if it wasn't for Ray Allen hitting that shot, I genuinely believe that Tim Duncan and the Spurs would have won the 2013 Finals, and they would have went on to beat the Heat again the next year in the 2014 Finals as well. And Tim Duncan would have been 6-0 in the NBA Finals, just like Michael Jordan is. And he definitely will be looked at different in terms of the GOAT debates. In my opinion, Tim Duncan is a top 5 NBA player of all time. But again, I'm back to the selfishness of his career. Tim Duncan, like I said, in 2013, Danny Green would have definitely won the Finals MVP award. He is 3rd in the most total threes made in the NBA Finals series. And again, in 2014, of course, we know Kawhi Leonard emerged as the main guy for them. He won the Finals MVP in 2014 when they beat the Heat. the revenge series, because the Spurs knew they felt that they won that series for sure. Definitely can't forget about David Robinson and what he did there. He was pretty much the main guy for the San Antonio Spurs before Tim Duncan got there. Of course, as we know, David Robinson is one of only 4 NBA players to achieve the quadruple-double stat. David Robinson was the last person to achieve it in '94. He had 34 points, 10 boards, 10 assists, 10 blocks in a game. Nate Thurman did it as well in 1974. And fun fact, he did it during his first game with the Chicago Bulls as well. If you don't know, I'm a big Chicago Bulls fan. I just love that franchise. Robinson did it in '86, and Hakeem Olajuwon did it in 1990. So David Robinson was a real great player before Tim Duncan got there. He won 2 chips with Tim Duncan, the 99-03 chip. He led the NBA in scoring one season, Rookie of the Year, and he won MVP in '95. Before the injury, David Robinson was easily a top 3, top 5 player in the NBA. But when he got injured, he really wasn't that same guy, and the Spurs definitely needed Tim Duncan. And when Tony Parker and Manu arrived, it just helped the Spurs build Spurs Dynasty. Again, this team was so willing to play true team basketball during you could say a heavily ISO superstar focused era in the NBA. It was always like, if a team during the seasons, if a team didn't really have like a really good dominant, if they were playing a team that didn't have like a great player, the Spurs will always beat them because the Spurs were just a smarter basketball team. They always were willing to make the extra pass. The way they played basketball was so beautiful. We can take a look at some clips. Look at that Parker to Boris Diaw. This is in the 2014 finals. Boom. Duncan. Boom. Look at that pass. Clip. Patty Mills. That's money. That team was really, really great. Again, they won a championship in 3 decades. The Spurs, they got 22 division titles, 6 conference titles, again 5 NBA championships, and they made the Western Conference Finals 8 times. The Spurs are up there with one of the best franchises ever in NBA history. And again, Tim Duncan didn't win every He didn't win every Finals MVP when he won the chip. Tony Parker got the Finals MVP in 2007, and in 2005, Manu Ginobili could have won the Finals MVP as well. If you look at what he averaged in the 2005 Finals, look at 18.7 points per game, 5.9 rebounds, 4 assists in 7 games. You really could have made an argument that Manu should have won the 2005 Finals MVP. But of course, Duncan had great stats. And also, they helped end the early 2000s Lakers dynasty in a way. Of course, the Lakers made the finals again in 2004, but the Spurs killed the Lakers' chance of winning 4 NBA championships in a row when they beat them in the 2003 NBA playoffs. And we can look at the Game 6 from that series. Tim Duncan, this is peak Duncan, in my opinion. 37 points, 16 boards, 4 assists, 2 blocks, and a real efficient 16 for 25 from the field. And look at Parker. This is when young Tony Parker was emerging. 27 points. Ginobili off the bench. A cool 10 points. Real efficient. They beat the Lakers that year. Ended their chances of going 4-0, winning 4 straight NBA Finals. That would have been crazy. But that Spurs team just outplayed them with just real beautiful team basketball. Just look at that clip I showed you. There's plenty of clips on YouTube. If you just look up Spurs ball movement, just a real great franchise. I love the way they develop players. And if you look at the 2017 NBA playoffs, we know that they went to the conference finals and they played the Golden State Warriors, and they were up 20 points in the fourth quarter before Zaza Pachulia did that dirty move by putting his foot under Kawhi's landing space after he took the jumper. You can really they were up. The Spurs were up in that game one, going into the fourth quarter, up 20 points. You can truly make the argument that the Spurs probably could have beat them, because the Spurs that season, again, Tim Duncan left. Tim Duncan already left. He wasn't playing no more. But the Spurs still won 50-plus games that year. You can take a look at this. And look at this. March 9th, 2017, Spurs notch another 50-plus win season, without Tim Duncan. Again, they were up against the Warriors. Game 1, Western Conference Finals 2017. Before Kawhi got injured. You never know. You really never know. It's always shoulda, coulda, woulda. But again, Spurs Dynasty. All the players made a sacrifice for each other. Ginobili could have started every single season for any other franchise, but he was willing to go to the bench and be that spark for the Spurs. And of course, he started a lot of games for them, but he also came off the bench a lot of games for the Spurs as well. Truly a great organization. Even Dwayne Wade said in the 2013 NBA Finals after they beat the Spurs, talked about how the Spurs just carried themselves with so much class. It's a great organization. One of the greatest franchise ever. We gotta look at. I want to talk about Tim Duncan's legendary NBA Finals series in 2003 when he clinched helped the Spurs clinch the championship that year. He almost had a quadruple double that Game 6, 2003 Finals. He had 21 points, 20 rebounds, 10 assists, and 8 blocks. Steven Jackson always says that the NBA took 2 blocks away from Tim Duncan that game, and that he really had a quadruple double. You can look at some clips. Some clips even online show that Tim Duncan had a couple blocks that the referees didn't count, but nonetheless, 8 blocks still doesn't make the game any less impressive at all. A near quadruple double, hands down to me the best power forward ever, Tim Duncan. But yeah, just wanted to talk about the Spurs dynasty. Tell me you guys' opinion on the San Antonio Spurs franchise. Do you think they get enough credit what they did in NBA history? I feel like just because the players were so reserved and they really just came to hoop and they didn't really care too much about being in the media and all that. They was like, we're gonna win basketball games, and that's what we're here for. We're here to play basketball. All right. Again, tell me in the comments what you think about the Spurs. Until next video.